Today's a pretty exciting day for me. It is June 23rd, 2021. It's a Wednesday. I'm going to be posting this video on June 25th, a Friday in the morning. I usually shoot these videos the evening before I post them. I like the immediacy of talking about something important to me and then being able to share it with my audience the next morning. It makes these videos feel more like a conversation and less like a speech. I'll be visiting my brother. I'll be traveling, and that is why I can't post this video. My brother has more consistently stood by me throughout my life than anybody else, and I have seen far too little of him since my release. You see, I had a relatively high-profile case. In spite of the fact that my victim was a serial pedophile and child pornographer, and due to some of the nasty tricks that the district attorney and the media used in my case, I don't feel comfortable living in my home county. I'm afraid that I'm going to run into people who have negative opinions of me because of my case. That, coupled with the difficulty of traveling while on parole, made it so that I really saw my family very little for the first 3 years after I got out. I came off of parole 3 months ago, and I don't have a good excuse for why I haven't taken the time to see my family. I certainly don't regret the way that I've spent the time. I am a father to 2 wonderful boys, and I'm a full-time husband. I've been busy. But it's time. It's time to see my family, and I'll be visiting my brother. I'll talk at my brother at greater length sometime in the future, I'm sure, but I would like to share 2 short stories about him. I remember whenever I was about 10 years old, maybe 9, and he's 5 years younger than me, so he was 5 years old, maybe 4, and we were exploring in the woods behind my home. I don't know how, I don't remember exactly what happened, but one of us stepped on a beehive, and suddenly we were swarmed with bees. There were hundreds of bees, and they were going to get us. I grabbed him as quick as I could, and I threw him on my back like I was giving him a piggyback, and I ran for home, and I remember getting stung on my hand. It's such a clear memory, and holding on to his leg and screaming at myself in my head that it didn't matter how bad it hurt. I had to not drop him because there were a lot of bees. It was terrifying. At least to my mind, it was life or death. And I know it's just a bee sting or a couple of bee stings, but I was 10, and apparently I was a little bit of a wimp at 10 because it stood out as just the most painful and terrifying experience of my life. And I ran into the house with him on my back, yelling for my mother, and I was so proud because I had like 4 bee stings, and I'd held on to him. And then I looked at my brother, and I don't remember how many bee stings it was, but he was covered. He was covered in bee stings because he'd been on my back. He was getting stung instead of me. I'd been so proud that I endured 3, 4, 5 bee stings as a 10-year-old and hadn't dropped him. He was 4 or 5, and he had held on in spite of the fact that he got stung dozens of times. I don't think 100, but dozens. My brother's a badass, and I've never forgotten that. I like to think that if I hadn't went to prison, I might have lived a life as awesome and full as his has been. He is a multiple black belt who has had the opportunity to travel internationally, teaching martial arts. How cool is that? I literally don't know how many black belts he has, how many countries he's been to, how many languages he's spoken. I'm jealous of the accomplishments that he's earned and the experiences he's had. And I mean that in the most positive and best way possible. Whenever I got out of prison, things were tough. I was so much luckier than most inmates in that I had a support network. My mother picked me up at the prison. If I needed help, somebody would have helped me. But still, those first couple of months for my wife and I, they were tough. And there were times where we barely made it by. The first couple of days after I was released, I spent time with my family. I believe it was the second night my mother took my brother and I out for dinner. After the dinner wrapped up, he pulled me to the side and handed me a card. Explained that over the past couple of years he'd made it a point to put a couple of dollars aside every once in a while for when I got out so I'd have something. My brother's not rich. I'm not rich. There was $600 in that card, and it's without a doubt the most money anybody's ever given me that I didn't earn through a solid paycheck. He did this discreetly, too, so that my mother wouldn't notice in case I didn't want to let her know that I needed charity, which was such a kindness. I won't be in the comments answering questions today. I'll be camping on Mount Shasta, sitting around a campfire with a cup of coffee with a man who I sincerely look forward to reconnecting with. You know, I say, take a moment. Take a day. Not today, not right now, but find a time whenever you can get way out of your everyday routine. Maybe spend some time outside. Wisdom is found in solitude and beauty, and where do you find more solitude and beauty than nature? I don't plan on wasting today because we have so few of them. I know I say we only get so many days on this earth, but right now I'm sitting on the side of a mountain in front of a campfire drinking coffee with my brother. I'm not wasting my day, and I really hope you're not wasting yours.